and today we're talking about something that might surprise you coming out of me because we're talking about amplifying, and that is simplify to multiply. Today, I want to really help you hone in on your best performing offer. I call them a unique profit amplifier, and to unlock the power code that will help you really be able to grow your revenues while you're building your business and establishing your authority in your marketplace. So here's what I see happening for a lot of people, and let me know if I hit the nail on the head here and you recognize yourself here. And I only know this because I fell into this trap myself for a while. You have probably been studying what does it take to get past 6 figures or hit a 7-figure revenue, whatever your goal is, right? You look at really successful business owners in any industry and you look at all the different things they've created and you think to yourself, I keep hearing I need to diversify my income. I don't want to have all my revenue eggs in one basket, so I need a lot of different offerings. Now that may actually be true, and there is value to having diversification. However, what happens is we don't always understand what it takes to be profitable with different offerings. And what I've noticed is the overwhelm amongst entrepreneurs and online business owners and service professionals, it's off the charts. The profit is down. People are working 7 days a week trying to keep up with this machine they've built, and they're not A, enjoying their business, and B, it's not performing very well. So has that happened for you? If you got today's email, I talk about a few of the symptoms that you might be experiencing if you are overly expanded. Here's the next little myth and something I see happening is you realize that you have this creative bug in you, right? Like if you're a highly creative person with lots of ideas, you may get a lot of different ideas that you want to bring to market. But you get the idea going, and then before it ever makes money and reaches its full capacity and potential, you get bored with it, or you believe it's not working well because you haven't fully optimized it, and you jump to something else. What you may not realize is that production, like the creative process, is the most expensive part. And it takes the most time, the most energy, and the most money. You're putting a lot of your hard-earned time and energy into creating something. And if you jump ship too quickly, before you fully optimized its potential in the marketplace, then you are not profitable. And when you do this over and over and over again, you actually create this addictive process to creating, but you're not maximizing the benefit of creating because you're leaving to the next thing because you've got to feed the creativity addiction. And it's actually killing your profitability. And then there are some entrepreneurs who just are starters by nature. And maybe this is you. You are that person who you are just lit up at the idea of starting something and you don't love the finishing. So you get distracted before your offering really gets fully profitable. And so you start, and you don't finish. And maybe that's because you haven't leveraged yourself properly and you don't have someone who's your partner to finish the things that you start, or you're, as a serial entrepreneur, you're not necessarily selling off the businesses that you're starting. And that's a fine business model, but you have to understand your role in it, and you have to understand the role that's required to make money. So let me burst a bubble here, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but if you're a highly creative person, you have to actually learn to channel that creativity in a way that allows you to be successful. And if you're not channeling that creativity, then great, today's the perfect time to recognize the power of simplification. So my own story around this is I did buy into the diversification bug. I really understood the value. We would spend a year creating and launching something and maximizing it. We'd run it a few times and then we'd continue to run it. But what would happen is we would then start the next offering 18 months to 2 years later before we'd fully penetrated our market. And so we had all these different offerings and not enough energy, not enough bandwidth, and truly not enough market to continue to be profitable. And so as economy shifted, as business buying behavior shifted, we had a lot of offerings and not a lot of bandwidth to promote and market them and sell them properly. And so what I did then is I had to go through the process of figuring out what we were going to keep, what we were going to sell or get rid of, and or just stop, really. And I think a lot of business owners have a lot of pain of that. Like, oh my God, I birthed this thing and now I have to get rid of it. So rather than doing that, and rather than going through and creating a lot of different things that you can't sell well or aren't connected in a way that sell each other, which is another form of leverage, I want to introduce the idea that you have a high performing offer, that if you focus on it, if you really drill down on it, it can actually exponentially grow your business, and it can sell your other offerings. Now, what I'm about to teach you is so powerful. It is so profit expanding, and it's very rarely done. So if you do this, you are going to set yourself apart in the market. You are going to have something that will make you unique, and it will make you special. It will make you stand out. But you have to promise me one thing. If you follow this advice, you have to promise me to fully amplify it, really optimize it, because this is the keys, the golden keys, we might even say, to the financial kingdom that many entrepreneurs are in search for. And that is to really uncover your unique profit amplifier and focus on it. So when we think about simplifying our effort to amplify our results and to be able to multiply our reach, what we're really saying is, if I simplify my focus and I focus on this thing and I make sure that everything I do is that it's performing well, that I know how to sell it, I know how to market it, and that I actually make sure that I have gone through every market possible. I have done my job of penetrating with my advertising and my marketing effort before I jump to something new, that you have a better chance of really growing true profits. So what a unique profit amplifier is, when I teach it, and you may have heard me talk about this before, is it's your business superpower that sells effortlessly in the market because it is highly relevant to my ideal clients. And the profit amplifier that you focus on will solve one problem, but it actually does such a good job of solving the problem that it sells the next program you have. It's the trifecta. Now, I had a client, I've been teaching these things for a long time, but all of a sudden, sometimes when I'm coaching all the Red Sea parts, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I totally see how this is going to work. I had a client who, it was in a service-based business. She was an accountant, and she was working 70, 80, sometimes 100 hours a week. And when we first met, I was speaking at a live event, and she came up to me in tears and said, I need you. I need your help. She's like, I'm working way too much. I'm trying to introduce leveraged offerings. Nothing's working. My husband's like on the edge. He's like, I need you to stop working so much. I haven't hit my revenue goals, but not only that, we're not profitable right now. And so we started to unravel a lot of the myths that she'd bought into. And one of the things was, and here's something interesting, she was trying to build a leveraged offering to the wrong audience. It was sucking up 20 to 30 hours a week for her, and it was producing very little revenue. And so when I went through the UPA, the Unique Profit Amplifier process with her, I quickly discovered she did not know what her profit amplifier was. She was focusing on the wrong place to leverage her time and her energy. And we quickly discovered that there was one thing that when she sold it, it was her most profitable offering. And when she sold it, it actually, 72% of those people became ongoing service clients. So this one offering, which was her most profitable offering, actually created more revenue consistently, because delivering that first step, they were like, well, can you help me, right? Can you help me do this? And that put them into an ongoing continuity model with them. And those clients often stayed somewhere between 3.5 to 7 years on average. Okay, so that's a pretty good deal, right? And so what we did was we shifted her away from this leverage idea that was just, it was just a bright, shiny object. It was just something that she saw everyone else doing. Her old coach had said, you need leverage, you need some kind of a passive revenue product. She focused on the wrong end of the market. It just was sucking time and energy. So we released it. And she refocused her energy on this new thing, which every time she sold it was between $2,000 and $10,000. Okay. And 80% of that was profit. That's the idea of a unique profit amplifier. Now you might be thinking, I know exactly what my unique profit amplifier is. Well, good. It's the thing that you already have, that you already do, that when you sell it, it sells easily because it solves a big problem. And ideally, it makes people want more from you. Okay. So everybody has one, or you have the potential for one. And if you're newer, or maybe you've been pivoting and you haven't quite figured out your new direction, you may not quite know what it is yet. And what I want you to do is recognize this will come once you've made about 10 to 15 sales. You'll start to know what that thing is that's easiest to sell. Now, if you're working with me as a coach, if we're doing a profit amplifier session, or you've gone through Get Magnetic Messaging, we will uncover that in that program. So I can help you craft it, but just know it's not, you don't always like know it right out of the gate. Okay. And it's okay not to know it in the very beginning. So your unique profit amplifier is the key that unlocks everything. And here's why. What most people don't understand is when you have a lot of offerings, you're confusing your buyer. So I've had people who start working with me in Amplify Mastermind or Get Magnetic Messaging, and we go through and we audit what they have. And one of the things that stands out quickly is, oh my gosh, you have a lot. And when they tell me their sales are down, I always know why. Because they go to a website or they try to figure out what they do and they don't know. So part of the unique profit amplifier is understanding a journey that your ideal client is going to travel with you. Okay, so even though you have a lot of things you can do, you don't need to let all those things be the very first thing your ideal client understands. You need to focus all your energy, all your marketing, and your journey to start here. This is the core problem we solve. And then once we solve that problem, we can evaluate, or I can guide you to what we do next. And that's called the client journey. So when you have a really good client journey, people know where to start. They know that that's the first thing you do. That's the thing that will become your unique profit amplifier. So here's today's amplify action. Okay, I want you to think about what your best performing offer is. If you've been doing this a while, what is it that's easy to sell? Okay, it's easy to sell. It's like, oh yeah, people just buy that up, whatever it is. And how could you package that so it leads to other great opportunities to work with you? So if you already know what it is, say it in the comments below. Share it so you can really anchor this in. And could you fine tune your focus by saying, what do we shift in our marketing so that we're putting more of our attention on this so we can grow it? Because remember, what we focus on is what expands. And if you're not focusing on your core offer, then you got your focus in a lot of different directions. Your buyers are going to be confused. And if you're newer, I want you to think about what you're starting with, or what you could maybe package so that there's a simple first step to take that actually helps people really get a problem solved. And that solving that problem then leads them to other opportunities you might have down the road. I can't wait to hear what your aha is from today. Remember, simplifying does amplify. When you simplify your focus, you simplify your offers, you streamline your operations, you actually experience freedom. And freedom is expansive. And there's a lot of power and creativity and amplification that's possible when you feel free and you're doing things because you want to, not because you have to.